and I don't even know how to say this with a straight face.
Don't, dude. We were having such a good show.
Here on the Paul Feinbaum
You're out of your
show.
freaking mind.
Here on the Paul Feinbaum show. Well, I have less hair than Paul Feinbaum, but that's not really the point.
Why we have Feinbaum.
Here it comes.
Is Nick Saban a has-been?
I can't turd.
Was watching a national program this morning.
I can't turd.
And somebody said that Nick Saban's a has-been.
Uh-huh.
And that wins over the weekend in the SEC, including Lane Train, show that the conference is moving to the younger, hipper, transfer portal, NIL type coaches.
Yeah.
I completely disagree with that. And I think it's dangerous. As Lane Train jokes with Feinbaum there, I think it's very dangerous to question Nick Saban.
Yeah, I think that Alabama didn't get dominated, but they were controlled. I think Texas kept them well within their grip. I think that late in 8 minutes to go in the fourth, Alabama was trying to make a push. They score that touchdown. And then what happens? Quinn Ewers comes right back down the field with an absolute moonshot of a throw and ends the game. And, again, it's your guy, Jatavian Sanders, like an absolute baller game. You got to give the guy credit. And I think that, the thing that
Wait. He just plays football. Who prognosticates football?
Yeah, you prognosticate, right? You prognosticate. Anyway, the point is that, you got to give Quinn Ewers credit. He balled out. I'm not a Quinn Ewers guy, but he had a big game.
24-38, 349, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
And I think, honestly, the stat sheet doesn't even do it justice. Honestly, that's a nice stat sheet, right? That's a nice game on paper for a quarterback. But I think that what the paper's not telling you is the control he played with, the composure he played with. He never looked flustered. He never looked out of his element.
He and Mitchell's relationship.
Yeah.
I understand there's a quarterback there that has the name Manning on the back of his jersey.
Yeah, not yet. He might as well not even be on the roster after
I don't give a damn because what I saw out of Quinn Ewers with Sanders, Mitchell, and Worthy, that's called chemistry.
Yeah.
That's called connection, relationship. That's why this team is very good.
And I think, the only thing I'd say about them being the most talented team in the country, I would love to see them play a team that's got that same caliber of offense. That would be my only thing as far as the college football playoff is concerned.
I don't see Ohio State with that.
No, it's SC. SC is 100% on the same level offensively. Not even a question. 100%. Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers.
I don't know that he has the wide receiver depth of quality that we saw in Tuscaloosa this weekend out of Texas.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, I watch a lot of college football. I watch a lot of USC football. The wide receivers, the Jatavian Sanders, who I think I have been on I am his one guy because nobody else talks about him and I don't understand it. He is a wide receiver that plays tight end. Throw the MF for the football. Because when you do, really good things happen.
Right.
He opens the middle of the field for Quinn Ewers. And Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. Let's not even have the conversation.
Yeah.
But everybody talked about, well, how is Texas going to run the football? Yeah, I don't think Texas running the football is a problem. They ran for 105 on a pretty damn good defensive front. And the thing, if you're Alabama or an Alabama fan that should scare you, is that I just don't see a secondary at Alabama that is dominant. You want to talk about the fronts. You want to talk about Tresman Marshall. You want to talk about, talk about any of the guys you want. You want to talk about Lawson Downs. Like, I think Caleb Downs had probably the best defensive day of anybody. It doesn't mean a thing because that secondary, I think, is very vulnerable.
Clearly.
Very vulnerable. And the one thing that we've always known Nick Saban by is you don't fuck with Nick Saban's defensive backs. Excuse my French. You don't test the safeties and corners at Alabama until now. And Texas exposed them. And maybe it's because Sark understands that system. He's got the talent to execute that. I'm all down with those conversations. But there's something else you have to understand. This is the first time that a ranked non-conference opponent has beaten Alabama with Nick Saban as the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an accident. This is not a fluke. Will it become a trend? I don't know. We're going to find out. But you have to start asking yourself. Calling Nick Saban a has-been is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Asking if the transfer portal is starting to hurt Alabama is not ridiculous. Because I saw it in Jalen Milroe. I understand why he's the starting quarterback at Alabama. He should not be the starting quarterback at Alabama.
Yeah, he ain't even in the Heisman conversation, in my opinion.
Well, Heisman, no, you're missing my point. You've got to be better than that at Alabama. You went from Heisman Trophy probable in Bryce Young to not capable of playing football at a SEC championship level in Jalen Milroe. We saw the flashes. We saw the arm. We saw the legs. We also saw him completely get duped 2, 3, 4 times by a defense. Jahdae Barron absolutely baited him into an interception.
Right.
That's what worries you. You're losing to ranked non-cons. You don't have the talent in the skill positions. I've never seen Alabama with this little bit of talent at the skill positions outside.
Yeah.
Never have I seen a Texas Longhorn football team or anybody else for that matter come into Bryant-Denny and be twice as good as Alabama at wide receiver. That's why you start to wonder, yeah, maybe Nick needs to get his ass in the portal. Maybe stop doing, Pat McAfee's show on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And maybe stop doing the Aflac commercials and start getting in the portal.
Yeah.
You're Ala flipping Bama. You should be able to call anybody and say, hey, you want to roll Tide with us? Okay, cool. We'll see you tomorrow. That's how the transfer portal conversation should go.
Roll Tide!
But all of a sudden, we don't have the best NIL and we don't have the best transfer portal.
Yep.
So I know people on Twitter lost their mind on me when I said, hey, Nick Saban's got to change or he's going to become a Joe Paterno.
How dare you?
He's going to become a Bobby Bowden. He's going to become that guy who used to be dominant and now is irrelevant.
Kiss my butt!
And it doesn't have to be that way. I'd also point to Chaboy, Dabo Sweeney. We built this program on Jesus Christ.
We built this program on NIL in God's name, image, and likeness.
I'm here for it. But apparently Jesus Christ ain't a great wide receiver.
It's probably different than what you're thinking, though.
And apparently Jesus Christ isn't a great quarterback. And apparently Moses and the apostles aren't great as a unit up front on the offensive line.
Garbage.
Yeah, because Clemson right now is not talented. And it's because Dabo doesn't want to get into the portal. And if Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney, and really for that matter, Kyle Whittingham,
yeah,
there's a lot of these 60-year-old football coaches who don't want to get into the portal. Well, too bad.
I sifted through all that.
If you don't want to get into the portal, it's going to be guys like Prime that are going to blow the doors off you.
Yeah.
Because, again, and I know I'm just little old fat ass doing his talk
little
show,
old Monty.
On YouTube. But I'd also point out, do you think it's an accident that people don't want to put Shedeur Sanders in the Heisman Trophy conversation?
The unbelievers.
Anybody go get on the old tweet machine and ask yourself, look at all the leading Heisman people.
That's why we have Fine Mom.
How come Shedeur Sanders isn't in that conversation?
Oh, that's right, because it's Prime and it's not the SEC.
That's
right.
a problem. Because I don't care if it's Caleb Williams or Quinn Ewers, anybody you want to point to. Shedeur Sanders has been better than you.
Yep.
And he belongs in the conversation.
Yep.
This is a young man's game.
Yeah, I think the transfer portal is prolific. I think that, it very much is a, new thing that people are either accepting or not accepting. And I think that if you're not going to accept it, you're going to get your ass kicked. And we're seeing that week in and week out.
Yeah. I just am I am amazed by it. I am amazed.
I was disappointed in Bama overall. I mean, I understand, hey.
It was lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, hey, you're going to lose sometimes, but I'm surprised they lost at home, number one. Even with everything that Texas has, and I'm not even hating on Texas. I agree, best team in the Big 12, Definitely a college football playoff team. Quinn Ewers is legit. Like, I'm with all that. But we can't lose sight of, dude, it's Alabama at home under Nick Saban. Like, what we saw in that game just hasn't happened any time recently. And I can't even tell you the last time I remember watching Alabama football be like, yeah, they're just not as good as who they're playing.
The only guy in that secondary who was consistently looking to turn the tide was Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah.
And he's a wildly talented kid. But there's nothing else special, or at least, and I don't want to say that, in the Texas game, there was nothing else special at the back end of this Bama defense. And that is what's shocking.
Yeah.
That is what's shocking. And there was nothing special outside at wide receiver. And why those two are so closely connected is because you look at schools, fucking Texas. You look at Texas. Texas has wildly talented wide receivers.
Facts.
What else do they have?
DBs.
Wildly talented defensive backs. And why is that? Because they all play the same position. And when you're not good enough to be a wide receiver, because Steve Sarkisian's taken every wide receiver talent he can, he's going to turn you over to Pete Kwiatkowski in that Texas defense, and they're going to make you Jahdae Barron and everybody else in that secondary. They're going to make you a hell of a DB.
Because what do you need to be a DB?
Long and fast.
Speed, bro. You need to burn. And that's, I'm just telling you.
Jaron Thompson.
Dude, I'm watching this game on Saturday night, and I'm like, hey, is this Alabama? Or is this like their scout team? Like, what are we doing here? And Jalen Milroe, to me, is obviously not the sole reason that they struggled Saturday night. But
he made Tavondre Sweat look like an All-American. And Tavondre's a really good player. He might be the best defensive lineman in the Big 12. Might be. There's a flip ton of them.
Yeah.
Tavondre Sweat might be the best one. Jalen Milroe, and this is the other thing that really surprised me about Alabama. I think when you look at when you're an offensive coordinator and you're looking at a defense, you're going to pick out Tavondre Sweat and say, how are we dealing with that guy? We're either going to go right at him or we're going to try to get away from him.
Yep.
What do we – and they didn't do that. They didn't do that. How are you making a mistake of throwing that ball that Jahdae Barron intercepted? Because I don't understand. Oh, that's right. You're not a great quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's a surprising thing is that Alabama, what was Alabama's thing with Bryce Young? Hey, yeah, maybe Alabama wasn't as talented as the other team just overall, like top to bottom.
Yes.
But Bryce Young was just better than you. He was smarter than you. The Jahdae Barron interception never happens with Bryce Young at the helm. And I think that's what's so surprising to me. Dude, I was telling somebody before the show, walked in our studio, you have a linebacker playing quarterback for you, right? You've got a guy that's got all this size, all this running ability, has no idea what the defense is trying to do to him, clearly. And that, to me, is the biggest indictment on Nick Saban and that staff. I understand if, hey, maybe you're playing a guy that isn't physically gifted, not big enough, maybe doesn't have a huge arm, and is going off of his smarts. But you cannot have a guy who is just this all-world athlete and just not, and maybe saying he's clueless is strong, but at Alabama, that performance to me said you're pretty clueless as to what Texas is trying to do to you in any kind of given situation.
Because you're young and inexperienced.
Yeah, well, that's not good enough at Alabama,
but that was my point earlier. You're just not playing the same game that Steve Sarkisian's playing.
Yeah, you're not playing college football playoff football. You're not doing that.
Yeah, you're not playing the same game that all these other top 5 teams are playing. And I don't know that in my career that I thought I would ever say that Nick Saban doesn't deserve to be in the top 10 teams in this country. I don't think they're a top 10 team. Like, you look at the AP top 25 this week.
Yeah.
And I think he's really lucky.
Well, it's a respect
really
thing,
lucky.
Right? Like,
well, what is this, week 3 or whatever?
Yeah.
We're looking at a situation where you have a lot of branding at the top of this poll.
Yeah.
I don't think Georgia's that dude. How slowly did they start? Michigan's really good. Florida State's really good. I think Texas should be the number 1 team in the country. I think USC should be the third team in the country. If it were my top 5, I would have a Texas, Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, USC.
It's a defense.
Or something like that. But I also looked down the list a little bit. How is Ole Miss 17?
Yeah.
How is Utah only maintaining at 12?
Oh, I see. To me, you texted me that, and I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, Utah didn't look good. Utah barely pulled that thing out. And again, I know Twitter was all raging about the last play of the game between Utah and Baylor. Yes, it was pass interference by the book. No, it was not pass interference because they didn't throw the flag. Last play of the game, you're not getting that call, bud. It's just not happening. So I'm not I don't think, again, and you brought up his name before, I love Kyle Whittingham. I love the way he coaches the game, love the way his teams come out on the field and perform. You got to get going in the transfer portal here,
yes,
man.
You do.
I can't. Everyone, all the writers in Salt Lake today. Oh my God, Witt said that Nate Johnson is number 2. Holy cow! Well, what do you expect? And then what do we get? Hey, Nate Johnson is going to start because Cam can't start, and now we're all outraged that Bryson Barnes isn't going to start in Cam's stead. Bryson Barnes is not good enough. He's not talented enough. He had one good game.
Nate's the guy you want playing. And we talked about that on Friday. I think he should have started this game.
Yes.
It's Weber State this week, by the way, this coming up weekend for Utah. Play Nate Johnson.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Give my guy Jaquindon Jackson more carries because he is what I told you he was.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is guys like Kyle Whittingham, Nick Saban, Dabo to a lesser extent, I'm sure, you got to get in the portal and start dominating. Your brand is too good to be getting turned down.